Welcome to our deep dive. And today we're looking into this idea of raising your vibrational energy by thinking less.
Yeah,
Now, I know what you might be thinking.
right.
Isn't thinking supposed to be a good thing?
Yeah.
I mean, we're always told to think more,
More.
plan more, analyze more.
Right.
But what if,
Yeah.
in some areas of our lives, less is actually more?
Mm.
So we've got some really fascinating source material to unpack today,
Yeah.
all about how quieting that mental chatter can lead to some really cool outcomes, like better relationships, more creativity,
Right.
and even get this increased synchronicity, as if the universe starts working with you,
Like it's on your side.
not against you.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty amazing,
It
right?
does.
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Sure.
let's start by understanding what vibrational energy even means.
Right. So the source makes it clear that we're not talking about some
Yeah.
kind of measurable energy field here.
Got it.
Think of it more as a way to describe
Yeah.
your overall state of being,
Mhm.
your mood,
Oh,
how you react to things.
right.
It's that feeling of being in the flow
Mm-hmm.
versus feeling stuck and frustrated.
Okay, so it's more of an internal shift,
Yeah.
a change in how we perceive and interact with the world around us.
Exactly.
But how do we even know if our vibration is rising?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What are some signs we should be looking for?
Well, the source outlines
Okay.
a few key indicators.
Okay.
One of the most noticeable is a sense of peace.
Hmm.
You know how sometimes you get triggered by little things
Oh,
that
yeah.
wouldn't normally bother you?
For sure.
Like someone cutting you off in traffic
Yeah.
or a coworker making a snarky comment.
Oh, yeah. I think we've all been there.
Well, as your vibration rises,
Okay.
you might find that those things just
Yeah.
don't have the same power over you anymore.
Interesting.
It's not that the external world has changed,
Right.
but your internal response to it has shifted.
So you're not getting swept up in the drama as easily. You're
Yeah.
creating more space between the event
Exactly.
and your reaction to it. I
Yeah.
can see how that would create a sense of peace.
Mm-hmm.
What else should we be on the lookout for?
Another sign is a feeling of flow in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Things just seem to happen more easily,
Okay.
with less struggle.
Less struggle.
Remember that analogy of swimming upstream?
Yeah.
That's what the source compares overthinking to.
Okay.
It's exhausting.
Right. Totally. You're putting in all this effort,
So much effort.
but you're barely making any progress.
Yeah. You're fighting against the current.
It's like you're constantly battling against the current.
Exactly.
So if overthinking is swimming upstream,
Mm-hmm.
what does it feel like to be in the flow?
Imagine riding a wave instead of fighting against it.
Okay.
That's what the source is getting at.
Got it.
Things just seem to fall into place.
Yeah.
Opportunities appear effortlessly.
Effortlessly.
And you feel a sense of ease and alignment with your goals.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that ties into another sign the source mentions.
Okay.
Synchronicity. You know, those right place, right time moments that feel almost too good to be true?
It's like magic.
Like when you're thinking about someone
Yeah.
and then they call you out of the blue.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Exactly. Synchronicity is often a hallmark of a higher vibrational state.
So it's not just about feeling more peaceful and
Yeah.
having things flow more easily.
It's more than that.
It's also about experiencing those serendipitous moments that make you feel like you're on the right track.
You're in the right place at the right time.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the source also talks about
Okay.
the importance of body awareness.
All right.
How does that fit into the picture?
Well, when you're constantly overthinking,
Mm,
it's easy to become disconnected from your body.
disconnected.
You're so caught up in your head
Mm,
that you're not paying attention
huh.
to the signals your body is sending you.
So we're talking about things like hunger,
Yeah.
fatigue, even subtle aches and pains.
All of that.
Exactly.
But as you quiet your mind
Mhm.
and raise your vibration,
Okay.
you become more attuned to those physical sensations.
Attuned.
You start to listen to your body's wisdom
Okay.
and take better care of yourself.
That's interesting. I never connected body awareness
Yeah.
to vibrational energy before,
It's subtle.
but it makes sense.
Yeah.
The more present you are,
Mm-hmm.
the more you're in your body, not
Yeah.
just stuck in your head.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got peace, flow, synchronicity,
Mm.
body awareness.
Yeah.
Any other signs we should have on our radar?
One more that the source highlights
Okay.
is a boost in creativity.
Creativity.
When you're not constantly second-guessing yourself and
Right.
overthinking every decision,
Mm-hmm.
ideas flow more freely.
So it's like you're tapping into that intuitive, inspired space
Yeah.
where creative breakthroughs happen.
Precisely.
And,
And this makes sense when you think about it.
yeah.
When your mind is calm and clear,
Mm-hmm.
you're more receptive to new ideas and insights.
Receptive.
You're not blocking the flow of creativity with mental clutter and self-doubt.
All right, so we've got our signposts, peace flow, synchronicity,
Yep.
body awareness, and creative bursts.
Those are good ones.
But how do we actually make the shift from overthinking to this higher vibe state?
Yeah, how do we get there?
The source mentions trust as a key factor.
Absolutely. Trust is a higher vibration than fear or doubt.
Okay.
When you trust, you're essentially surrendering control
Surrendering control.
and allowing the universe to guide you.
Interesting.
Think about it.
Okay.
When you trust someone,
Yeah.
you don't need to micromanage them, right?
Makes sense.
You give them space to do their thing.
That's a great point. So if we're constantly overthinking
Yeah.
and trying to control everything, it's like we're saying we don't trust the universe ourselves or even the natural flow of life.
Exactly. And that lack of trust creates resistance, which blocks us from experiencing those higher vibrational states.
Okay. I'm starting to see the connection here.
Yeah.
But how do we actually cultivate trust
How we do it.
when our minds are screaming, control, control?
Right. Our brains are wired for that.
It feels like our brains are hardwired to overthink and analyze everything.
It's a habit.
Right.
It's definitely a process, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
But the source highlights a few practices that can help.
Okay.
One of the most powerful is meditation.
Meditation.
Yeah.
I've heard about it, but to be honest,
Yeah.
I always thought it was just for like super Zen people
Yeah.
who live in monasteries or something.
That's a common misconception. Meditation is simply a tool
All right.
for quieting the mind and connecting with that inner stillness
That inner stillness.
where trust resides.
Okay.
And you don't need to be a monk to benefit from it.
Okay, good.
Even a few minutes a day can make a difference.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
I guess I always thought it had to be this big formal thing.
Right.
But if a few minutes can help quiet the mental chatter,
Yeah. Just a little bit.
I'm definitely willing to give it a try.
Okay, cool.
What about mindfulness?
Mm-hmm.
Is that just meditation with a different name?
Mindfulness is more about bringing that present moment awareness
Okay.
into your everyday activities.
Okay.
For example, imagine you're washing the dishes.
Okay.
Instead of rushing through it while your mind races
Yeah.
through your to-do list,
My to-do list is always going
you focus on the feel of the warm water,
to... Uh-huh.
the scent of the soap,
Okay.
the simple act of cleaning each dish.
Yeah. So you're saying even mundane tasks can become a mini meditation if we approach them mindfully.
Exactly.
It's about shifting our attention to the present experience rather than letting our thoughts run wild.
Being here now.
I like that.
Yeah.
And speaking of our surroundings,
Okay.
the source emphasizes that our environment can either support or drain our energy.
It's true.
The people we spend time with, the spaces we inhabit,
Right.
they all contribute to our overall vibration.
It all adds up.
So if you're hanging out with a bunch of negative people
Yeah.
or working in a chaotic, stressful environment, it's going to be harder to maintain that peaceful, high vibe state.
It's going to be a challenge.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
But what about when we're trying to be more creative, to come up with new ideas? Does thinking less play a role in that as well?
That's where it gets really interesting. The source suggests that our minds are fantastic for solving problems and working through logistics.
Okay.
But when it comes to true creativity,
Yeah.
that spark of inspiration
Okay.
often comes from a much deeper place.
Deeper.
A place beyond the constant chatter of our thoughts.
So instead of forcing creativity,
Right.
it's about creating space for those aha moments
Exactly.
to bubble up naturally.
Think about it this way.
Okay.
When you're trying to force a solution, it's like you're squeezing a sponge.
Okay.
You might get a few drops out, but the real flow comes
Yeah.
when you release the pressure
Release the pressure.
and let the sponge naturally reabsorb water.
Okay, I love that analogy. It's
Yeah.
like we're so busy trying to control the creative process
Right.
that we're actually blocking the flow of inspiration.
Blocking the flow.
So how do we release the pressure? How do we get out of our own way
That's a good question.
and let those creative juices flow?
The source points to those same practices we discussed earlier.
Okay.
Meditation and mindfulness.
So by quieting the mind and becoming more present, we create the space for inspiration to come through.
Precisely.
So it's not about emptying our minds completely.
No, not at all.
It's about creating a more receptive state.
It's about shifting from a state of doing to a state of allowing.
This is all starting to make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to acknowledge that this is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
We're not going to magically transform into perfectly zen beings overnight who never overthink anything.
It takes time.
Right.
Absolutely. The source makes it very clear that this is a process of gradually shifting from a state of resistance to a state of allowance.
Okay.
There will be times when you fall back into old patterns of overthinking.
Right.
It's like learning to ride a bike.
Yeah.
You're going to wobble. You might even fall a few times.
I've definitely fallen off a bike.
But eventually it becomes more natural.
So it's about progress, not perfection.
Progress, not perfection.
And I guess that ties back to the idea of trust, right? Trusting the process. Trusting ourselves.
Yeah.
And trusting that even when we stumble, we're still moving in the right direction.
Exactly. And remember, the universe is always conspiring to support you.
Support me.
To guide you towards your highest good.
My highest good.
It's like there's a current flowing beneath the surface.
Okay.
Always moving you towards your destination.
What is my destination?
But when you're clinging tightly to the steering wheel, trying to control every little thing, you miss out on the ride.
That's such a great visual. It's like we're so busy navigating that we forget to enjoy the scenery.
You got to enjoy the journey.
So how do we loosen our grip and allow ourselves to be carried by the current?
The source emphasizes the importance of our environment.
Our environment.
Both our physical surroundings and the people we surround ourselves with.
The people we surround ourselves with.
Have you ever walked into a room
and
instantly felt a shift in your mood?
Oh, absolutely.
Like what?
Like walking into a library.
Okay.
Instant sense of calm and focus.
Yeah, like a hush falls over you.
Yeah. Or being in nature. I always feel more grounded and at ease when I'm surrounded by trees and fresh air.
Exactly.
And on the flip side, we've all experienced environments that drain our energy.
For sure.
Noisy, chaotic places where it's hard to think straight, let alone feel at peace.
Yeah, the crowded shopping malls the week before Christmas definitely come to mind.
Yeah, for sure.
So the takeaway here is to be mindful of the energy we're inviting into our lives.
Mindful of the energy.
Both through the people we spend time with and the spaces we choose to be in.
So it's about creating an environment
Right.
that supports our growth and well-being.
Exactly.
Rather than one that depletes you.
Think of it like tending a garden. You wouldn't plant a delicate flower.
Right.
In a harsh, barren environment, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
You'd create a space that nurtures its growth and allows it to flourish.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So we're talking about cultivating an internal and external environment that supports our journey towards thinking less and raising our vibration.
Exactly. And that brings us back to those practical tools we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Meditation and mindfulness.
Meditation and mindfulness.
They're like the fertilizer and water that help our garden thrive.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
We've talked about the signs of a high vibration, the power of trust and letting go, and the importance of our environment.
Our surroundings.
We've also explored practical tools like meditation and mindfulness.
Those are key.
But I think it's important to acknowledge that this is an ongoing process.
Yeah, it's a journey.
There will be ups and downs,
for sure.
Moments of flow, and moments of resistance.
It's all part of it.
Right.
Absolutely. It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
And like any journey, there will be detours and unexpected challenges along the way.
Okay.
The key is to be patient with yourself.
Patient.
To celebrate your progress.
Celebrate progress.
And to keep returning to those practices that help you connect with your inner peace and wisdom.
So even when we catch ourselves slipping back into old patterns of overthinking, we can gently guide ourselves back to the present moment.
Gently guide ourselves.
Without judgment or self-criticism.
Exactly. The source suggests a simple but powerful technique for those moments.
Okay.
Bring your awareness back to your breath.
To my breath.
Notice the sensation of your breath.
Okay.
Entering and leaving your body.
Entering and leaving.
This simple act can instantly ground you
Ground me.
in the present moment
In the present moment.
and help to quiet the mental chatter.
Ah, that's a great tip. It's something we can do anytime, anywhere.
Right.
No special equipment required.
Just your breath.
So it sounds like the journey to raising our vibration through thinking less
Yeah.
is really about cultivating trust,
Okay.
mindfulness, and a supportive environment.
And a supportive environment.
And remembering that it's a process, not a destination.
Right.
But what about those tangible benefits the source mentions?
Okay.
Things like increased creativity
Yeah.
and those serendipitous synchronicity moments.
Those are good ones.
How do those actually manifest in our lives?
And that's where it gets really fascinating.
Yeah.
The source suggests that when you tap into this higher vibration, the universe starts to work with you. Remember those moments we talked about earlier, those right place, right time experiences?
You mean synchronicity?
Yeah, exactly.
Those moments that feel like a little wink from the universe.
Yeah, like a little nudge.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. But how does thinking less actually lead to those kinds of experiences?
Think of it this way. When you're constantly overthinking, your mind is sending out a frequency of fear, doubt, and resistance. It's like you're putting up a wall between yourself and the flow of abundance.
So it's not that the opportunities weren't there before, it's that we weren't in the right headspace to see them, let alone seize them.
Exactly.
Okay.
When you quiet your mind and cultivate trust, you essentially open yourself up to receiving. You start to vibrate at a higher frequency
Right, yeah.
and it tracks like.
I see what you're saying. It's like tuning into a different radio station. When you change the frequency, you pick up a whole new set of signals.
Precisely.
Okay.
And those signals can manifest as new opportunities, new relationships, or even those aha moments of inspiration we talked about earlier.
Speaking of inspiration, how does thinking less enhance creativity? It seems counterintuitive. Don't we need our minds to be active to come up with new ideas?
Your mind is a powerful tool for problem solving and analyzing. But true creativity often comes from a deeper place, from a place of intuition and inspiration.
So it's not about forcing ideas, it's about creating the space for them to emerge organically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine you're trying to solve a complex puzzle. You stare at the pieces, you try different combinations, but nothing seems to fit. Then you take a break, go for a walk, do something completely unrelated, and suddenly the solution pops into your head.
It's like those times when you wake up in the middle of the night with a brilliant idea out of nowhere.
Exactly. That's your intuition, your higher self communicating with you. But it can only get through when the mind is quiet.
This all makes a lot of sense, but I think it's important to reiterate this is an ongoing journey, not a destination. There will be days when your mind is racing, when you feel overwhelmed and stressed.
Absolutely. There will be times when you fall back into old patterns, and that's perfectly okay. The key is to be kind to yourself, to notice those patterns without judgment, and to gently guide yourself back to a place of peace.
So what's one practical thing our listener can do right now to start tapping into this higher vibrational energy, to start quieting their mind and experiencing those benefits we've been talking about?
Pay attention to your body. Your body is incredibly wise. It's constantly sending you signals about your energy levels, your needs, your overall well-being.
But we're so used to ignoring those signals, pushing through fatigue or brushing off aches and pains.
That's why it's important to start tuning in to become more aware of those subtle cues. Notice how your body feels when you're stressed versus when you're relaxed. Pay attention to the sensations you experience throughout the day.
So it's about becoming more present in our bodies, more aware of our internal state.
Exactly. And as you develop this awareness, you'll naturally start to make choices that support your well-being. You'll gravitate towards activities and environments that nourish your energy, and you'll start to notice those synchronicities popping up more and more.
So, dear listener, what does this all mean for you? What if the key to unlocking your most creative ideas or that project you've been putting off or even just feeling more joy and peace in your everyday life is actually to think about it less, to trust the process, to quiet your mind, and to allow the universe to work its magic? That's something to ponder as you go about your day. Until next time, keep diving deep.